welcome to episode 6 of the IGN Arena MOBA Competitive Gaming Podcast. Yay, we made it to episode 6.
We did it.
Nobody's shut us down yet.
Yay.
Whatever.
No.
I may be dead.
No,
Rip.
you're not dead. Everyone's here this week.
Everyone's
wrong.
For the first time in like 2 weeks, everyone is actually back.
Yeah.
Yes, everyone is back. So I'm your host, Leah B. Jackson. This is Mitch Dyer.
Hi.
This is Brian Albert.
Hey.
And James is finally
Hey.
back. Yay, James is back. Woohoo. So there is so much going on in competitive gaming this week.
Yeah,
It's
literally
awesome.
right now.
Literally,
Right now.
as we are doing this podcast, we
Day
are
2.
missing amazing things.
Yes.
So let's get through them.
Yes.
First of all, I just definitely want to let our viewers know that not only do we love MOBAs at IGN, but we love all types of competitive games.
Aw.
And EVO, the biggest fighting game tournament of the year, is coming up this weekend. It will actually be going on as this podcast airs. So IGN is going to be covering it from July 11th through the 13th, which is Friday through Sunday, and we're going to be streaming everything from the main stage, and we'll have every match from the second stage available to watch on demand. So if you miss anything, you can come to IGN and watch it and get all of your fighting game fix. And if there's anything that you want to see from EVO, you can do it at ign.com/EVO.
Yeah, we'll have a couple interviews with some devs and all like the indie games. Like, there's a ton of stuff coming out there.
you actually go.
I am going. I'm gonna run around with a camera with Vince, Destin Legary, and a couple other video dudes are going as well. It's gonna be a good time.
It's going to be a good show. There's like maybe a Mortal Kombat reveal there. The new game from the Soul Calibur guy is there. Like, it's going to be a good show.
Yeah, and again, it's like super accessible. Like, I think with fighting games especially, it's very it's one-on-one, and it's like a fighting game. If you aren't into that scene, just give it a shot, because it's the biggest event of the year, and you can just get wrapped up in the hype. It's really fun.
It's hard not to get excited about a Street Fighter fight.
Yeah.
I'm not into fighting games, but just like in MOBAs, you can appreciate like something really impressive happening and exciting, even if you don't know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, so there'll be Marvel vs. Capcom 4 or 3 or whatever it is. 3, excuse me.
Marvel vs. Capcom 9.
Hey, well, they've had enough expansions where
It's true.
It's different games at this point,
Yeah.
in my mind at least.
Yeah.
Ultra will be there.
Ultra, Smash Bros, Melee,
Yeah.
whatever. Will be there, which will be on the main stage, and Blaze Blue, a couple other smaller games.
Yeah, they'll have an indie game showcase this year.
But yeah, there's gonna be some awesome matches. Like, there's like a ton of people signed up for each individual one.
Yep.
It's gonna be awesome. Like, tune in.
Yes, so
gonna be good.
the link again is ign.com/EVO, EVO. If you want to, catch all the matches, we'll have them. But more importantly, for us,
Yes.
I know that a lot of you guys, a lot of the viewers of IGN Arena say, you guys are such Dota fans. Talk about other games more. But this week, it's the International is happening right now. It's the biggest thing in MOBAs right now. It's the biggest thing in Dota 2 all year. So we definitely are covering it. We love the International here. We're really hyped. Everyone at this table, except for me, is actually going to be going to the International. I'm holding it down at home. So let everyone know, though, what we're going to be doing, because we have a lot of awesome TI4 coverage to bring to you guys this year.
We do. So leading up to the show, we're going to have like, hey, what is this tournament? Like, what's the history? Because this is the 4th international, the 4th and biggest. Leah, your piece is going to go up.
Yeah.
It'll be up by the time this podcast is up.
Yeah.
We're going to have a video up that's like, hey, here's how you watch a match of Dota 2, in case you don't know.
Which is great. Break that down a little bit more, because that's really exciting, and you're kind of downplaying it.
Yeah. I was trying to think, okay, if you're watching a match, you want to be excited about this, what's going on, what are some things you need to know? And I figured you need to know, like, what the objective is, like, what's up with the heroes, and, like, how, as the match goes on, they're going to go about completing that objective, which is destroying the Ancient.
Right.
And so this video is going to be maybe 5 minutes or so, and it's just with footage from some of the early TI matches, and it should be really great. If you have no idea what's going on, you want to be excited, you want to get into it, I think it's a really good place to start.
Or maybe if you have a friend who doesn't necessarily watch Dota, but you're like, hey, this awesome thing is happening, like, watch this, you can get caught up on, what you should be watching, I guess, or how to be watching it. So that's really exciting.
And that's just the stuff leading into it. So we're all going to be there.
Yes.
So,
James, Brian,
It's okay.
and we're going to have the finals, which start on the 18th. That's not this Friday, but the next. That will be all streamed on IGN. And those matches are going to be saved and uploaded to our YouTube, and they'll be kind of archived below the live stream.
Yeah, so if you miss a match, you can come to IGN, you can see them, and not get totally spoiled on who won.
YouTube.com/IGN Arena is where all the matches will be as well.
Yes.
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 So subscribe if you have not.
And then, we're still working out who exactly we're going to be able to see there, but we're going to talk to the players, casters.
Yep.
Mitch, you want to talk to someone about, the items that are made in game?
Yeah, we're going to talk to the workshop, people who make stuff for the workshop, and just kind of get an idea of how that works. We're going to go to the secret shop where they're selling merch, and we're going to spend hundreds of dollars on figurines and T-shirts and in-game items and all sorts of stuff that we're going to regret later.
If you haven't seen it, there is a secret gold tiny, which we think is going to be like a rare drop type thing where it's like a blind purchase, like you buy the
tiny, but maybe inside that box is a gold one. Ooh,
which I really want.
They did something like that last year at the International. They had those blind box plushies.
They have those again.
So yeah, they're gonna have the similar ones this year, but maybe it seems like the.
If you're at the International and you buy a blind box plushie and you get a lich, look me up. Because I want it real bad.
There's some awesome stuff. So that's gonna be really, really, really cool. I think we're doing some player interviews. I think
we'll have a cosplay, looking at all the cool cosplayers and that type of
There's
thing.
There's some really funny ones. I wasn't there last year, but I saw there was like a pair of people who were Ogre Magi.
That's great.
And then
Alchemist would be really good too.
There was someone dressed up as Enigma, and whenever a big black hole went off, he would stand up in the crowd and like wave around.
So we kind of got a little bit ahead of ourselves here. If you're not familiar, for whatever reason, the International is the largest Dota 2 tournament. It's happening this year. The finals are live in Seattle at Key Arena, July 18th to the 21st. The prize pool is the big thing that everyone's been talking about. $10.5 million prize pool. The best Dota 2 team, 16 Dota 2 teams around the world are competing. So that's kind of what the International is. We kind of glossed over that before. We were like, oh my God, we're so excited.
We're freaking out about this thing. We haven't explained it all.
Indeed. So, but I mean, it's going on now.
It's group play. So
is that what the phase is called right now?
Basically,
phase 2.
It's basically you play a best of one, so everyone just plays one match in their group versus everyone else, and
for seeding purposes.
For seeding, and then they later this week or something like that. It's at the actual brackets.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track of because even though Valve has it literally drawn out on the International website, this is the most confusing tournament bracket I've ever seen in my life.
But the finals it's a double elimination bracket with 8 teams.
Yeah.
So that's easier to follow.
That's the stuff you really want to see.
Yeah.
Right.
Starting Friday. Next Friday.
18th. Yeah.
But you really should be watching all the matches right now.
Yeah, really good.
It's crazy. There's like 30 matches today.
The first match was the main one was IG versus Alliance, which is like a finals game. Is the first match of the day. First match of like the actual the actual group round, which was incredible.
It was a great match too.
Yeah.
Just yesterday there were the wild card games.
1v1s.
And it was, there were 4 teams, and then whichever team won from those games was the 16th and final team who's going to go on for the grand prize.
Right.
Which was Liquid.
Team Liquid. So go America.
Yeah.
Yay! So yay TI4.
We're really excited.
If you love TI4, or if you don't know about the International and want to love TI4 as much as we do, make sure to check out IGN Arena, youtube.com/IGN Arena. Come to IGN. We'll have it all for you. And if you guys have suggestions for the type of coverage that you want to see or that you want us to do while these guys are at the event, let us know. Leave a comment. We really want to bring you guys the type of coverage that you want to see. So let us know what that is.
Also email arenapodcast@IGN.com.
Yes, please do that. And thank you for doing that throughout the week. We love receiving all the nice emails that you guys send, so thank you. I want to talk about, going from sort of the biggest the International, the biggest, esports event this year, basically, to sort of another topic about the smallest of the small esports and what makes a game an esport, because that's come up a lot recently. The main thing that I heard that made me kind of scratch my head was that Ubisoft wants to make Just Dance an esport. That's basically what the headline for the articles are around the internet, is that Ubisoft is deciding that Just Dance is an esport now. And the quote that I wanted to bring up was that for the 11th edition of the Electronic Sports World Cup, the founder of the Electronic World Cup says, "We are very proud to widen the definition of esports with Ubisoft," said Matthew Dallin. "Competitive gaming has to welcome all kinds of players, has to be developed in partnership with the game's publishers, and has to showcase the most advanced technologies which link the body to the game. Just Dance is the perfect ESWC medium to reach those goals." Or Just Dance is for ESWC the perfect medium to reach those goals.
So are they talking about the mobile Just Dance? Is this the one that they're bringing?
I don't think so. Just Dance Now?
Yeah.
No, I would assume they would take like this year's version or
Just
whatever.
Dance proper.
Okay.
Yeah, there are several different Just Dances that are going to be played throughout various qualifiers between June 21st or June 24th and September 21st, and the finals will be hosted in Paris. So they didn't say the prize pool for what that is, but the main question that I ask myself is, just because Ubisoft says that this is an esport, does that make it an esport? And I think the answer is no. What do you guys think?
So before we answer, I want to know why you think no.
I think no because I feel like games like this, Matthew Dallin saying games have to be developed with esports in mind, but I feel like the community is what makes a game an esport, not the developer. I feel like, if a game has a spectator mode and replays and stuff, that is helping it become an esport, but like having a community there, playing the game competitively and giving feedback and I just feel like I'm torn because I feel like the thing that I'm thinking about in my head is Hearthstone. Yeah. And Blizzard says this is not an esport. We don't want Hearthstone to be an esport.
But
meanwhile, hundreds of thousands of people are streaming it every day. There's competitive talk about it. There's a meta game around it. Yeah. There are tournaments for it. There are big tournaments for it, like including Blizzard's own $250,000 Hearthstone tournament. Yet they still say it's not an esport. To me, the community made Hearthstone an esport. I
get that.
I don't feel like Ubisoft now saying we have a tournament for our game, so it's an esport, makes it an esport to me. Maybe we have to define what an esport is before you can say that.
Yeah, maybe, because I don't know. I'm of the mind that if Ubisoft says, hey, we're in this tournament, therefore we're an esport, that's fine. If you don't have a spectating aspect, if you don't have a huge community there, that's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily make them...
You're just a bad esport. Like
that's
you're
what
just.
I was just gonna say.
That's the thing. Like
it's a competition.
Yeah.
Rather than a ongoing thing.
Sure, but I don't think you necessarily need to have this like sprawling season thing to be a sport. It's helpful. Like LCS is obviously like a very big example of that. I don't know. There's dance in the Olympics, right? Like figure skating is essentially choreographed dance in the same way that Just Dance is. Not to say that they are remotely equal in terms of skill necessary to compete.
Sure.
But at a fundamental level, it's like, all right, this is dancing. And there are certain skills required to compete, and that you'll be judged and blah, blah, blah. Like all of the fundamentals are there to say, like, this is a competitive thing. Its validity as an esport, like you said, will be totally dictated by the community. If people don't care, then it will go away.
Yeah, and I mean, I've heard of a lot of developers saying that they're developing their game to be an esport, and I feel like that just goes against what esports is. Like, you hope that eventually it will be there, and it's great that you're developing with that in mind, so that your game has replays and spectator mode, like you're saying, and like the ability to function like that. But I don't necessarily know if that means what they think it means.
Yeah, I think this is part of their whole. They have like an initiative that Ubisoft owns. And they try to bring in it's for games from all different developers, right? This is I forget the exact name.
I don't remember either.
I'm not sure about that either.
But yeah, it's such a weird thing to me that it can be. Like I hope they succeed and it is something that succeeds. But I'm not sure where they're going with this. Like I don't like.
Yeah.
It's all community based. Like that's what esports is for me at least. It's community. Like purely community. Like,
and Just Dance has an enormous community. Like the player base for that game is ridiculous.
But
do any of them care about following competitively?
I don't think they do.
I agree. Whereas people who play Dota and League and Counter-Strike are inherently more interested in that game as a competitive sport because it is a higher skill threshold than Just Dance, I would say.
Yeah, in terms of that there are the skill ceiling for those games is
enormous,
incredible.
Yeah.
And that you can have competitive discussions about it. I'm maybe you can about Just Dance. I don't know what the high level Just Dance players who they are, but maybe they're.
Who's the Dendy of Just Dance?
Oh my God.
It's Usher. Usher is the Dendy of Just Dance.
Lady Gaga. I mean, yeah. What do you think, Brian?
It's just, sometimes it's like, oh, what's a sport? And then people are like, okay, well, what are esports sports? And now we're going like,
is a competitive gamer an athlete? Like that whole
I don't know. It's
spiraling out of control.
Is it now that there's like some sort of prize pool to sport? Is it like what if you're just speed running and there's sort of like the competitions for like Super Mario 64? Like, is that an esport? Because you're competing to get the highest time. Like, I don't know. I'm not really concerned with like saying this is or this isn't a sport. It's just like, is this a good one that's worth people's time?
Yeah, I'm less concerned about the logistics of like, well, is it or isn't it? It's like, well, do I care to watch it? Yes or no? The end.
Mm-hmm.
I actually might watch it.
That's fine.
Purely out of curiosity. But I also think we should start our own Just Dance esports team.
Good.
Here in the office.
Yep. Super on board with this.
All right. Well, I'll watch from the sidelines.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be on.
That team down.
I believe in you.
Is Mitch our carry?
Oh my
I'm
God,
definitely your Just Dance carry.
I'll support you.
Good.
That's just backup dancers.
That's how that game works, right?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I think you're right though. It's kind of lame to be like, well, is this an esport or is it not an esport? I mean, it's tough because you want, like you were saying, you want them to succeed. If we want esports as a whole to succeed.
Yeah.
It's just I hope that it works and
yeah. I feel like there's a knee-jerk reaction to be like, oh, Just Dance, that game's dumb. I don't want it to be like, it's fine. Like, it's a popular game. It's a good game.
Yeah. We don't care, but maybe people will.
Maybe.
And maybe they'll be happy playing this and competing. I don't know. Best of luck.
Yeah. Good luck, dancers. A lot of people in the greater gaming community look down on MOBAs and people who play MOBAs, and
It's a bad word.
It totally is, and I hate that because these are my favorite types of games to play right now. They're my favorite games to play with my friends. I play them every week, every day with my friends. I play MOBAs, so I love it, and there's this just stigma around it. Talk about this.
Yeah, so Leah and I worked on a letter series for IGN where we talked about this. So you can go to IGN.com and read a little bit more about this. But I don't know, playing MOBAs recently, like people I feel like really look down on me every time I mention it. Like if you mention that you play Dota, people go like, "Oh, you're one of those."
You're one of those.
In the same way that I don't know, when people started playing WoW, I used to have the same reaction when people said like, "I got to go home and raid tonight." I'm like, "Really? Really? You got to go home and raid?" And you still play WoW. And Draenor's coming out, and you're going to play WoW again.
Yep.
And I feel like that stigma has mostly gone away as MOBAs or MMOs. God, my terminology is just like a melting pot up here. Because they've become so popular, and because WoW is this huge thing with, I don't know, millions and millions of players, it's sort of just an accepted thing. And MOBAs, while they have a comparable player base, or even larger in the case of League, people still kind of look down on those people as like, oh, you play like one of those weirdo games for weirdos.
One of those weird free-to-play games.
Yeah, and I feel like it's like unfair, but I also totally relate to it.
Yeah, I feel like people, especially even within our industry, I was talking to someone and they thought that League was built by a Chinese company. And I was like, no, it's
definitely American.
It rides like down in LA, like it started here.
Yeah.
Now it has. I think MOBAs in general are a very like international.
Yeah.
Like thing at this point because like
the
player bases for China are just.
I mean, I think people just know that like StarCraft is huge in Korea. Like I feel like that's a thing that people just sort of associate when they think of esports.
Mm.
So maybe that's why they.
And now
they kind of think
League is too. It's probably larger. It's played in all the PC cafes in Korea. Like it's just this massive thing. It's totally taken over. It's taking over our industry. Later on, we're going to talk about a new MOBA that was just announced.
Ooh.
I mean,
AAA is chasing MOBA hard,
big time.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I feel like I don't know what we can do to sort of make this go away. other than having so many games come out until like people start playing them and realize how fun they can be.
And that's the trick. I think it takes that, because my girlfriend used to judge me a lot. Like if I said Dota 2, she'd be like, "Oh God, just not again."
Yeah.
And then she started playing League to like kind of understand what I was into. And that clicked, and now she's like, oh, like now I know what an AD carry is versus like, and I know these terms, and I understand what you're doing, and it's less of a judgment thing now. And at the same time, it's like, for me, this is something that I do to connect with everybody in my life. Like everybody I know that I play games with plays MOBAs. And like Katie Casarda, who works at IGN, moved to New York months and months and months ago. And we play with her a lot, and like I have grown closer to Katie the more we play Dota. Like that is how Katie and I have become close friends, is because we play Dota.
There are friends I only stay in touch with
because
of MOBAs.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it is a like interest. Okay, cool. We're on board. It could be Battlefield or whatever, but I feel like the innate cooperative nature of that game gives you like a weirder personal connection than any other game I can think of.
Like when you mentioned WoW rating, and for me, like WoW rating, it's tough. It can be tough to get, your group together, but let's say you get your group together and you're all working together towards, one common goal to defeat the boss usually. But it's like everyone has their own sort of duty. Like the healers need to heal, the tanks need to, tank the monster, and then the DPS or the damage dealers, they have their own jobs. In a MOBA, you're all working, and you're still all working together to bring this boss down, but, you all have your own little individual job.
Yeah.
In a MOBA, I feel like even though you're playing your own individual characters, you're generally working as one unit, as a team, in order to, take down the other team's base. And it's more cooperative, it's more strategic. Like a boss, you learn the mechanics and you kill the boss, and it's like, clockwork every week. A MOBA, no two games are ever going to be the same ever.
Yeah.
You might be on the same team playing with the same people, but you're never going to play the same characters like every single game or be in the same situation.
And even if you do, there's so many variables in the game to disrupt, like, oh, I have this master plan with this exact 5-person composition. Like, so many things can happen based on who they pick, who, like, the roles everyone adopts. Like, it's just impossible. Like, the game is always surprising me.
I also think the stigma against it has to do with time, in terms of the time investment. Not just the match being an hour long. It's, oh hey, you got to learn 100 heroes, which requires 100 hours.
Yep, and then you have that that timer on your Steam profile is like a scar. Like, how many hours do you have?
Mine says a lot, but I definitely idled my
leaving
game
it
open. So I think my Steam says like that I have over 6,000 hours of Dota 2 played, which I don't.
Of course.
I've left my client on overnight.
Yeah, at this point I start measuring my time with Dota in matches.
I think that I have like 700 matches played though.
It's a lot.
So yeah, I've definitely put a good amount of time into Dota. What were you going to say?
The thing that embarrasses me the most about this stigma is that like it's kind of true. I run into way more jerks in matchmaking or in Dota than people I'd rather talk to.
Yeah.
Like especially, and, if sometimes a team will just crush us and we'll be like, okay, like hey, like good job, and then like racial slurs. It's like why? And that paired with like this match might be an hour long, you can't forfeit out of it. You feel like you're wasting your time, especially if you're not with your friends and learning things from that time spent.
Yeah.
Like I see why people are like. No.
There's also that element of like it is so frustrating to be in that scenario and you're just screaming and everyone's angry and people are like, why are you playing this?
Yeah.
Like you obviously are not having a good time.
I've been in that situation before where like, why did I do this? Like at least in WoW or any MMO, like I might get a piece of loot at the end of that 4 hours that I spent learning how to kill this boss. A lot of the times you don't, and you end up waiting like 12 weeks. Literally happened to me. Like I wanted these shoulders for 12 weeks, went to this raid, never got them, but finally I did. But that type of time lost definitely occurs in MOBAs. I absolutely agree with you. And sometimes you don't get anything out of it. Like at the end of a Dota game, you might get a crappy item and like sweet, but a lot of the times you don't. So it can be tough.
Yeah, the definition of insanity is getting up and doing the same thing over and over and over again. And that's why I think people are like, people are against it, because it's like you're back to zero every single time.
Yeah.
There's no like there's the outside game progression, but there's no. It's like the game resets,
and it throws you into that compulsive loop of like, okay, again, again, and people look at that as like you have a legitimate problem. Like you're isolating yourself away from society to do this again and again and again.
But I feel like we're going down a bad path right now because we're starting to talk about the negative things, which definitely exist.
And I think that they are absolutely
they're there. But I feel like MOBAs can be a great positive experience to have with your friends. You can really get close to your friends. You can learn more about them. You can learn, how to work together with them. Like, those are the good things that come out of MOBAs, and like definitely the bad things. But you have to sort of balance it with the good things that are absolutely there.
And there's the vast majority of my experience with MOBAs, especially socially, have been unanimously positive.
Do you know what my favorite thing is about playing any MOBA?
Tell us.
Is queue times.
Because you just hang out and
because I get to hang, it's literally just hanging out and just like we can BS about whatever we want, and then the match starts and you got to talk about the match. But at that point, it's just like you're all ready to go in, and you can we watch dumb YouTube videos together and laugh and make jokes, and that's so uniquely positive. Of like we're all prepping to about to get on the soccer field and go play a match. And
I mean, after the end of a Skype call, like when I tab out of Dota and I go to Skype to end the call. And I look at it, it says like 8 hours and 30 minutes. Like that makes me feel good. Like I just spent 8 hours with my friends. That feels really good.
Yeah. I like that. I really like that you brought that up. That's a great point. I was thinking when you were saying that how long the league queue times are. Or not queue times, but the load time when you actually get in the game is like 5 minutes.
Well, now we're playing captain's mode a lot, so it's more. It's like 10 minutes.
Oh, man. But that's a great point. So, I mean... If you see your friends playing MOBAs, don't be mean to them. Try to play with them and learn. They're fun games.
Bring them to your world if they're judging you for it. Come join me. Come be my MOBA buddy. My MOBA buddy. My
MO buddy. I mean, if you, we were talking about this, how heroes need to be called buddies from now on.
Buddies. Choose my buddy.
I love that so much.
A lot of developers these days are adding new features to make it a lot easier, which is great. I love this. Especially for TI4, Valve has implemented this Noob stream. It's actually called the Noob stream.
It's so good.
It's really, really good.
And it's great. So you seem to have watched it. Why don't you break it down?
Yeah, so there are a couple different casters. There's Purge, who's actually, I think, probably one of the best, I call him the dad of Dota.
Dota dad.
That's really appropriate, actually.
That's super good.
Because one, he has a very soothing voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. This is Purge.
Oh my God, that's uncanny.
That's really good.
And he's very good at the game. He's on Team Zephyr.
He's now on a pro team. He wasn't as of even a year ago. I don't think he was on a pro team.
They're not in TI. I think they got knocked out in the qualifiers.
But still very knowledgeable about Dota.
Dude knows what he's doing. If you haven't read his guide, Welcome to Dota, You Suck, read that. It's, I mean, it sounds hostile and antagonistic, but it's not. It's the most helpful written piece of content about Dota ever made.
And so the stream is basically them casting the game, but doing it as, explaining, hey, this is why you would pick this carry.
Yeah.
Right, with this support, and it's
this is why that moment was important. This is why he activated that item.
Yes, and again, they still get excited. For the first couple of games, there was that creep deny.
The Faceless Void creep deny was really good.
Yeah, where so the Faceless ran into a jungle creep so he could deny himself for the other team, and they were freaking out. But then they stepped back and they're like, "Oh wait, let's explain why."
Let's talk about why that was such a great moment.
Right.
And this was First Blood too, so it had additional context, and they gave that they just slowed down the cast. You have people like AC and everything who can get so hype and get into the moment-to-moment breakdowns, but they try to stay back and slow down and be okay, this is what's happening.
It's fun listening to a Toby cast and then immediately switching over to the Noob cast. It's they are just speaking different languages at different speeds. It's great.
Toby's screaming he'll say the names of the moves and he'll just rattle off who's doing what, and we know what that means. But I was watching a match on the Noob stream, and Batrider throws out this flaming thing that can blast people away in a little radius.
It's basically a grenade.
Yeah, it's basically
an AoE grenade.
And it can stop someone from teleporting. And they just said that. They said oh, he threw out Flame Break because it canceled the teleport and it let his team catch up to kill him. And it's just good contextual things that.
Yeah, I know why that move is awesome. Already, but I love watching the Noob stream because it just adds this extra context that I like that.
Yeah.
And it's it definitely, they break it down. They don't talk down to the viewers, which I can really appreciate. They are just like, okay, you know, we're teaching you, but we're not going to be like, oh, well, you guys are noobs and don't know anything about Dota, so we're going to tell you and you should already know this. No, they're like really nice about everything, it seems like.
Yeah.
The match that I got to see was Purge and Suns Fan. I found that they have both, they're great casters. They have really soothing voices. They
just, like,
really
there's no
complement
pressure.
each other. It was great.
Yeah.
I'm super on board with the Noob stream.
Me
I
too.
think it was a great idea from Valve. If you don't know Dota, it's an awesome way to watch the international.
Yep.
I'm not sure if they're going to do all of the event on the Noob stream. It seemed like the games that were happening today weren't, but I imagine that all of the finals will be on both.
Yeah, it's a great way to relate that high level pro play, which is, you know, even for us, like, we know Dota pretty well and we feel like we're kind of okay sometimes. But the stuff that pro players are doing is, like, even still, like, next level for us, where we look at stuff and it's like, whoa, I never would have even thought to do that. So even watching the Noob stream, I'm learning stuff.
Yeah.
I'm learning stuff about skills that I don't really use for heroes I don't really play, which is awesome. It's like that helps me understand what I'm up against next time I join a game against Batrider.
Yeah, I love it. And then, so Valve is doing a great job at that. And then Riot, recently they announced that they're going to be introducing new, better onboarding intro bots. So they said in this very long blog post that they kind of detailed their new intro bot, saying that people who tried the League of Legends tutorial were losing at the tutorial mode. Like, it was so hard. It was so much information overload that they just weren't getting it down. They kept running into towers and stuff like that. So League of Legends is introducing a new beginner tutorial mode, and with the core principles to make learning fun, to provide achievable and meaningful goals, to offer well-paced information, to reinforce through play, and deliver an appropriate challenge. So rather than just sort of letting players off into the, onto Summoner's Rift without, any knowledge of how to play, this would be like, this is how you move your character. This is how you attack. Like, really basic beginner stuff. But I think that's important, and I'm glad that they're doing this because MOBAs, we were talking about this earlier, but like, it's a really tall mountain to climb to learn any MOBA. It doesn't matter, which one you're getting into. So to have those first baby steps be really easy and really give you, the help that you need when you're first starting out any MOBA is great. And I love that, both of these big companies seem to at least start understanding that.
Yeah, for the longest time, the MOBAs, or like Dota 1, was like impenetrable. Yeah. Because people were so set in their ways, and there wasn't like matchmaking or anything, so you couldn't like rank against your MMR, I don't think. And so actually, like, they realized like, oh, people are coming in and they're making bad habits. I think bad habits is one of the main like walls that people put up, because they're gonna be like, well, I want to play the game like this. Yeah. When you're like, no, don't go towards the tower. Don't go towards the tower.
The Dota tutorial is really bad for that because it teaches you to auto attack. Yeah. That's it never tells you like, you need last hits, but it never tells you like, stop attacking.
And so that's another thing that that Riot brought up in this blog post. They were saying, like, this is not a last hit tutorial. Yeah. Like, we're not doing that. This isn't about wards. This isn't about like any of that stuff. Like, yes, that stuff is important for new players to learn, but we don't want you to learn that stuff yet. Like, we want you to know how to move and how to like get back to the shop and like how to actually look at the shop and stuff like that.
I was just thinking about this today because there's someone in the office who wants to play Dota with us this week, and I was like, okay, which hero should I get him on, like, for good like lane synergy? And I'm like, wait, like, what if I just need to teach this person to click to move?
Yeah, and that's
or
the
like
thing.
left click to it, like.
Yeah, they don't know.
Press S to stop doing what you're doing.
Like, just that is foreign unless you've played other MOBAs before.
Yeah. Right, and a lot of people haven't, and they're getting into MOBAs because there's $10.5 million prize pool for a tournament that's happening, and that's exciting to people who
are getting college scholarships.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. So, so I really think that this is a good initiative by the two big guys. Yeah. And I think that other sort of devs will follow suit, will have better tutorial modes or implement new ways with new MOBAs coming out.
Yep. Fates Forever, the iPad MOBA that came out this week, has a really amazing tutorial that you have to play. It goes through it step by step. Like, listen, tap here to move this character. This is why you're going to move this character here. Like, it breaks down the fundamentals, and it's segmented similar to Hearthstone, where it's like, this is this section, you have to finish it to proceed to the next one.
Yeah, Heroes of the Storm does that as well.
Yeah, and it does a really good job of saying, like, listen, stop attacking if you're not going to get the last hit. And, you know, this is the threat of the tower, so back off when it starts attacking you because it will wreck you.
Yeah.
Does a really good job of hitting all the basic points that you would want to know.
I also really appreciate that a lot of MOBAs seem to be combating this density problem by just making their game mechanics easier.
Yeah.
But Valve and Riot are like, okay, this is hard, but like let's try to roll this out in a way that's slower.
Right, because they're hardcore games. They don't want to be seen as casual games like Heroes of the Storm is hoping to be.
I just like that they're not
like
like throwing their hands up and just kind of like, you want to
figure it out.
Riot's doing some really cool stuff right now in terms of, like we've talked about before, they're just revamping literally everything about their game, which is really, really impressive. They put out the PBE for the new client, which has like a ton of feedback, which used to be built on Adobe Air, which was not great, and now it's like part of their own code and like HTML5. And so like they're doing stuff where like they're actually listening and being like, oh, we can't have this antiquated like interface anymore. We need to kind of update it to make it a little more streamlined, and they understand that.
Yeah.
Which I think is really impressive.
It's good. It's nice that they listen to their players. That's one of their main missions is to be really put the player experience first. And players have been complaining about the client for a very long time. So it's nice that they finally have said, yes, we listen. We are working on it. Like here's a preliminary thing. I think that they've been working on the new client for a really long time, and they just didn't want to unveil it until it's closer to what they actually want it to be, because people are going to be leaving so much feedback because it's like been the #1 requested thing.
It looks super similar, but I think it looks.
It's probably
nicer.
Gonna like run better.
Hopefully,
God,
it can't run much worse than the current.
It
one.
cannot possibly.
But I mean, it's all seems to be centered around the new Summoner's Rift update, which looks beautiful. We've talked about that on the show before, so you can catch a trailer of that on IGN Arena, youtube.com/IGN Arena. But yeah, I mean, it seems like we all are on board with more helpful things so that we can get more people playing.
Yeah, anything
games.
that makes it easier for my friends to join me to play Dota or League or whatever, like I'm on board.
A new MOBA got announced this week, and it looks really, really cool. It's called Battleborn. And Battleborn is from Gearbox.
Yes.
And it's not a traditional MOBA. It seems like not like a 3-lane MOBA or anything, but it's a first-person shooter console MOBA, also coming to PC. I don't know if it's just competitive modes. Tell us a little bit more about Battleborn.
So the basics of Battleborn is it is a 5-player cooperative shooter with a story-based campaign. That, usual what you would expect from Gearbox, guys who made Borderlands and Aliens, Colonial Marines, Brothers in Arms, all that stuff. So yeah, it's going to have a campaign, it's going to have co-op, great. But its competitive mode, the only one they've talked about right now is Incursion. Incursion?
Yes, Incursion, yep.
It is a 5v5 lane-based MOBA, straight up, like creeps, heroes with unique skills. And these are the heroes from the campaign as well. But yeah, it's the same idea, but now in a first-person shooter form.
Yes, and this will be the first-person shooter MOBA?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
So yeah, to the best of my knowledge, it's the first one. I've seen third-person like Smite before.
Sure, or Monday Night Combat.
And then like Atari has that minimum game that's also third-person.
Oh, right, that's right. Yes. But
I can't think of a first-person one.
But it looks beautiful. Yeah. There's one debut trailer out for Battleborn so far. It's definitely like colorful, bright,
sort
fantasy
of has, like,
aspects.
Team Fortress-ish
Yeah,
vibes
like
on
Pixar
characters. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely like they take the philosophy of like silhouettes.
Yes,
like,
big time.
Like you need to be able to identify who someone is by their silhouette.
Yeah. So if they're breezing by, or they're just like they're jumping through the air, or they're with 4 other characters, you can say like I know exactly who all of them are.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the Battleborn was only just revealed yesterday for us.
Yes.
So we don't know that much about it. We haven't played it yet.
No.
But like Mitch was saying, Incursion is the 5v5 mode that combines the fast-paced first-person gameplay with strategic team-based elements.
Jeez.
And then another thing that we didn't mention was that you can level up to 20. So that's going to be the max level in the Incursion mode at least.
Okay.
And then you can unlock a variety of different play styles, which I'm guessing is just abilities. You can level up to 20 and unlock different abilities as you go.
Yeah.
Mitch, you said matches end at half an hour, right?
Yeah, there was something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is Game Informer's cover reveal this month, and something in the story that they mentioned is that after 30 minutes, a match just ends. So if your score is whatever higher than my team, then you win. I would assume that the goal is still to take down an ancient of some kind, like something in a base, because there are towers and they're like these giant mechanical spiders that are terrifying. They shoot lasers and missiles.
The spiders look
it's
really
great,
cool.
yeah. So those are presumably protecting something like a base.
Right.
But after 30 minutes, there's an end, similar to Arena of Fate. Which
I was going to say
we
it
just played
sounded
that
like
at
Arena
E3.
of Fate.
Yeah.
Crytek's MOBA. Yeah.
Yeah, 20 minutes into that, into an Arena of Fate match, it ends. So I'd like the idea of putting a timer on it to kind of add to the pressure, which might make you make some bad decisions or like high-risk plays that might pay off toward the end of a match. Like I like that idea, and I'm very curious to see how this plays. Like the headshots matter. Do you get different kinds of ammo? Do you get different kinds of guns for as you level up? Like I don't know. I want to know what the
because Gearbox is so into all the loot. So that might be something like
there's character skins, but I'm not sure
we talked
if
about this in a conversation the other day. But like, it seems like the loot stuff would be more like maybe in the single player, because MOBAs aren't about. I mean, you can like dress up your characters, but you know, every match you start from scratch.
Yeah,
you start from
so
zero.
maybe you find a Borderlands-y chest that has like cosmetic items that in the campaign give you, you know, an armor buff or whatever. But in the multiplayer, it's just cosmetic.
I would think it'd be an
cool.
interesting concept to do it like kind of what Destiny does right now, where when you go in, you can get loot in single player, and then it just levels off everyone, so everyone's doing the same amount of damage. So you can have your own customized stuff that you bring.
Oh, that's cool.
But it unifies it based on your level or whatever.
In the multiplayer.
That's I would love that.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Because you can have your single player customization, and then just bring that in, but it's like everyone does the same damage.
Call Randy Pitchford right now.
Let's get him on the phone so we can explain this poorly like he did on Twitter.
So when is Battleborn supposed to be coming out? Did they say?
2015.
Okay.
Before fiscal year ends in March 2016, so probably holiday 2015.
Okay. I mean, long way off, but it's exciting that, you know, Gearbox is kind of getting on board. I feel like some people are sort of like MOBA'd out at this point almost.
Not me.
Yeah, no one in this room seems to be MOBA'd out. It seems like the industry, as the wider gaming industry, seems to be like, this is a lot of MOBAs. This is like that time when World of Warcraft became popular, and then everyone wanted to make MMOs and, you know, jump on board, and that's definitely happening here, but I mean,
it's also looping into that stigma. I think it's like, this is a game I can't play. If they hear like, this is a game that's inspired by MOBAs, I think some people think
they just turn
I can't
off
do this
immediately.
Whereas if you say, hey, Gearbox made this like wacky, fun RPG shooter that also has this like multiplayer mode you might want to check out, that's a way easier sell.
Yeah.
I definitely saw some positive stuff in terms of like, because they've only talked about this. People were like, this sounds cool. Like I would definitely give this a shot, because it doesn't people get you use their left stick to look and right stick or right stick to move, left stick to move, look and move. Then it's like they understand that.
Yeah.
Like that's there's no barrier beyond. I played a first-person shooter before.
And it's also nice because, you know, a lot of these games, I mean, this game in particular is taking MOBA elements, like we've talked about before. And it's its own game, but it has, you know, these MOBA elements. And so have a lot of other games that are coming out recently. We mentioned Evolve in the past, and
Titanfall had it.
So, I mean, it's just another way that sort of MOBAs are incorporating themselves into games nowadays. And it doesn't seem, you know, like, you know, it's not Dota 2, it's not League of Legends by any means, but it's just got these cool elements that are fun in these types of games that are fun. Surprise. So, way to go, Gearbox. I'm excited.
Yeah, this sounds great. I really can't wait to play it.
And it looks pretty, too.
Yes.
So that's good. Cool. So I believe that that's going to do it for this week. Thank you for watching, number one. Number two, we have a couple more Orcs Must Die Unchained beta codes left to give away.
Game's really good.
It's really good. So if you want one of those, just leave a comment and subscribe to IGN Arena on YouTube at youtube.com/IGN Arena, and I will get you a beta code, because it's fun. And then definitely make sure, you know, to stay tuned to IGN and IGN Arena over the next week or two.
Lots of TI4, lots of EVO.
Yes, for all of the competitive gaming MOBA goodness that you're going to need. It's going to be great.
These next 2 weeks are going to be, if you like competitive gaming.
Now is the time.
Check it out. There's going to be so much cool stuff.
Yeah.
If you don't like it but are maybe interested,
Yes.
You want to learn. Subscribe to youtube.com/IGN Arena and read our website.
Woohoo! Read our website.
If you're at either of these events, be sure to tweet at or email us, and we'll probably be hanging out. And
Arena podcast at IGN.com.
Yeah, we'll be in
touch.
secret chat. Yeah, we'll be around. Like,
Yeah.
we'll just hit us up.
Heads up. Heads up.
His up.
What?
His up.
Let's get out of here.
Let's get. We're done.
I need
Okay.
to be done.
I need coffee.
That was my limit.
Let's do it. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.